Hi, my name's Mary. I'm with the Adult Events Department at the Cape May County Library. Today we're talking with Amy Reade, and this is a visit with Cape May author Amy Reade.
Hello.
Amy grew up in northern New York, just south of the Canadian border. She spent her summers and weekends on the St. Lawrence River. She attended Cornell University and then law school at Indiana University in Bloomington. After that, she practiced law in New York City, then moved to the Jersey Shore. She's a wife, a full-time mom, and a volunteer. She lives right on the Jersey Shore with her husband, 3 children, 1 dog, and 2 cats. All right, Amy, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, this is going to be great. So, first question. Can you explain how you went from a career in law to writing mystery novels?
Yeah. The type of law that I practiced, I was part of a litigation law firm, so we did a lot of writing. I did a lot of writing all the time, every day. It was briefs, memos, even letters to clients, affidavits, and so it was all writing, and it was very logical. Everything you write has to be very logical, and you really can't embellish or you get in trouble. And so it was really a pretty short jump, I think, to fiction writing. I was already writing every day, and I took a course. It was a 3-night course at the Ocean City Public Library on writing and publishing with an author by the name of Annie Kelleher. Annie actually passed away earlier this year, but she was a great teacher. She, the workshop she gave at the library in Ocean City was sort of her way of giving back to a community where she had spent summers growing up. So she kind of lit a spark, and I even enjoyed the homework she gave, and that kind of got me into it, and I realized how much fun fiction writing is.
It's great. You currently have 4 cozy mystery series that you have written or you're currently writing. Mm-hmm. Are there any more series to come?
I don't currently have any other plans to write another series, but I'm sure that will happen at some point. Right now, my plan is to extend all the series that I have. I have a cozy series, a historical collection. I have written a Gothic series, and I have a more traditional / contemporary type of mystery series. I've got some ideas rattling around, but those are really for standalone novels that I think I will be working on next. But I'm sure there are more series down the pike at some point.
Excellent. Are there any other genres you have an interest in writing?
No, not right now. I read in lots of genres. There's a few genres I don't really read too much in. One is science fiction. Another one is paranormal, although I'm slowly getting into that because there are a few writers I follow who are just so good at it. But mystery is what I love the most. I love to read it the most, and so that's what I see myself writing.
Excellent. So your cozy mystery series, the Juniper Junction Holiday Mysteries, have hilarious titles like The Worst Noel, Dead, White, and Blue, Be My Valentine, and the newest one, Ghouls Night Out. How do you come up with those titles?
Cozy mysteries it's very common to find a pun as a title of a cozy mystery. So, like for the Christmas one, The Worst Noel, I just went through lists and lists of Christmas carols, and I tried to come up with sort of a twist on that title, give it some kind of a macabre or funny twist. So that's how I came up with The Worst Noel. The Christmas ones are rife for switching around like that. I was part of an anthology a few years back called The 12 Sleighs of Christmas. SLAYS, Sleighs. And So every author in the anthology had to share a Christmas mystery. And a friend of mine, Judith Lucci is her name, and she could not, she wanted some input on coming up with a title. And so I gave her a few, and the one she went with was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. So there's some really good Christmas ones.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, they're
great.
fun to come up with.
Bet. I'm currently on the wait list to read Cape Menace, which is the historical mystery. And you wrote about Cape May.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind this book?
The inspiration really was my husband saying, you need to write about Cape May. Like my first book that I ever wrote was Secrets of Halstead House. That's set in the Thousand Islands where I grew up, or near where I grew up. And so he said, you know, you really need to write something about this area. And so that's where it came from. I have been amazed. I've lived in Upper Township full-time since 2003. I've just been amazed at the amount of research I've been able to do and the really, really cool stuff I've learned about Cape May County. I love it. So I'm enjoying that collection.
I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to read it. Okay. The House on Candlewick Lane, Secrets of Halstead House, Murder in Thistle Cross are a few of the books in the series you have written. Are these real places, or are they based on anything real?
I'll start with Secrets of Halstead House. Secrets of Halstead House takes place in the Thousand Islands on the St. Lawrence River, on an island, much like a lot of the other islands in that area. A lot of the islands you find have one big house on them, and a boathouse, and it's really just one family who lives there. So while Halstead Island is not any particular island, it's sort of a compilation of all the islands that I visited and that I know of. The St. Lawrence River obviously is real, Thousand Islands obviously is real. The town in that book, the town that's closest to the island, I named Cape Cartier. It's based very loosely on Alexandria Bay up in New York State. I guess I didn't want to use Alexandria Bay, specifically only because I didn't want to get caught in a trap of getting details wrong. I didn't want to, so, you know, naming it something else really made it my own, and I could play with the details without any nasty emails that, there's a store on that corner, or you can't turn left there, you only go one way on that street. So that eliminated all those problems. Let's see.
Secrets of Halstead House?
No, it was The House on Candlewick Lane, right?
House on Candlewick Lane, yeah.
So that one took place in Edinburgh. There are some things in that story that are real places, like the St. Giles Cathedral and the Royal Mile, but really the house that's on Candlewick Lane is a complete figment of my imagination. And Murder in Thistle Cross takes place in a Norman-style castle. This actually inspired by one that I visited on a trip to Dublin once. There's a castle called Hoot Castle, spelled Howth, outside Dublin, where I took a cooking class. And it's an old Norman-style castle where the family still lives, and it was unbelievable. So I thought that'd be a pretty cool place to set a book.
And how about The House of the Hanging Jade?
Oh, The House of the Hanging Jade is based on a real house. My husband and I, a day does not go by when we don't say, oh, I wish we lived there. The House of the Hanging Jade is based on a home that's located on a bluff over the Pacific Ocean on the Big Island of Hawaii. And we have a friend who's a realtor in Hawaii, and we were on vacation once, and we convinced her to show us this house, and she actually hadn't been through it either, so it was not hard to convince her. She did have to persuade the listing agent that we were serious buyers, but it was a $13 million house. We were not serious buyers. But it is the most spectacular home I have ever seen. So the House of the Hanging Jade is closely based on that house.
Sounds great.
It is great.
Okay. What was the hardest scene you ever had to write, and the most fun scene?
The hardest thing I've ever had to write was not really a scene in any of my books. It was a response to a writing prompt that I had in a writing group. I briefly joined a writing group nearby that I loved. I loved the people in it. I thought the writing was great. The prompts were fun, but it happened not to be what I was looking for at that particular time. So I did a response to a writing prompt. I actually can't even remember the prompt right now, but the response was my sort of talking to my version of what I would have said to somebody who died of a opioid overdose. Someone I knew who had passed away, and it was sort of a letter containing the things I wish I had said to that person before that person passed away. That was really hard.
Yeah.
Let's see, the most fun scene. I don't think I can't pick the most fun scene because I love them, and I don't think I have a favorite fun scene. I think they're all fun. They're all fun to write anyways.
Okay, so what are you currently working on?
Currently I am working on, let's see, the first one I'm working on is the second book in the Cape May Historical Mystery Collection. It does not have a title yet, but it is set in Beasley's Point area of the county, right around the time of the Revolutionary War, 1777, I think, to be exact. I haven't decided for sure yet, but I'm pretty sure that's when it's going to happen. The thing about that collection is, I don't call it a series because it's not really a series. It's a collection of standalone mysteries, so that are set throughout the history of Cape May and Cape May County. The first book in the collection was set in the early 1700s. So the second book is Revolutionary War, later 1700s. The next book is going to be set in the early 1800s in Cape May City proper. I wanted readers to be able to choose a time period that they wanted to read about and not have to worry that they missed whatever came in the book before it and whatever comes in the book after it. So there's nothing connecting these books together at all except that they're all located in Cape May. Let's see, I'm also working on Dutch Treat, which is the second book in my Libraries of the World Mystery series. That is a series where I use different special library collections around the world to commit or solve a crime. And the first book in that series used a dime novel collection from the Library of Congress. The second series is using some genealogical research from the New York City Public Library, and the third book in the series will be in England. I'm also working on book 5 of the Juniper Junction Holiday Mystery series, which is tentatively, but probably going to be entitled May Day, which is a riff on the holiday of May Day, which we don't typically celebrate in the United States, but I kind of like the idea of it, and the distress call, May Day.
Very good.
So.
That's amazing. You work on so many things at once.
Well, it's, yeah, some days work better than others.
Okay, well, how about this? Do you believe in writer's block? There's a lot of talk about that lately. And if so, what do you do to relieve it?
I do believe in writer's block. I have been following a lot of sort of conversations lately that say, well, writer's block wasn't really a thing, and I do think it's a thing. And it's, it's sometimes just, it's simple as you've painted yourself into a corner, you've written yourself into a corner, and you got to figure a way to get out. And I think what helps most is just stepping back, either one of two things, either stepping back or writing on through it. And I think, like, some people are able to, if you're stuck on one scene, they can jump to a different scene and write that, and then and then jump back to the scene they were having trouble with. I can't do that. I write in a linear fashion. I think that's probably from the training I had in law school and working. Everything is a very linear logical progression. So when I have trouble with something, what works best for me is to just take a step back, and I either go for a walk and I leave it alone for an hour or a day or a week or whatever it takes for my sort of subconscious, I think, to figure out the plot. The other thing that I like to do is sit down with a pad of paper and a pencil and write down, just brainstorm solutions for it. So sometimes really the act of putting pencil to paper for me really helps me focus on what I'm trying to say and write.
That's really good. So what is your writing kryptonite?
Yeah. My writing kryptonite is social media, without a doubt. It is a huge time suck every day. And it's not that I don't like it. I do like it. But there are times I wish that I didn't feel it was an obligation. I had started out not being on social media at all, and so now I'm on a lot of different platforms. And it just takes up so much time, but it's necessary, and like I said, I do like it. I meet a lot of people that way, and it's really been beneficial and a blessing to me.
Yeah, I bet you really meet a lot of fans that way.
I do. Yeah, it's
excellent.
really fun. Yeah.
Cool. So what kind of advice do you have for writers, other writers?
I would say I have a piece of advice, and then I have sort of a piece of wisdom. The advice would be to start marketing yourself, start making a name for yourself, getting out there on social media before you write your book, not when you decide to publish it. I wish somebody had told me that early on, but when I had first written Secrets of Halstead House, I sent it around to a couple of different publishing houses. And the first woman who got back to me, she said, you know, I really like this book, but I Googled you and there was nothing. So she said, get yourself on social media, you know, start building a platform, and then send this back to me.
I never thought that was so important.
No, I know, but it is, and you know, when you think about it, you know, a lot. I mean, how many Google searches do you do in a day? I do hundreds.
Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy. And so lots of times editors, anybody, that's the first thing they'll do when your work comes across their desk, is they'll Google you to see what else you've written or what you're all about. So I got on, like, I got a website right away, and a blog, and Facebook, and Twitter, and all this stuff. And I actually never did send that manuscript back because I got it published in the meantime. But it's important. And the wisdom that I would share actually comes from my first editor, he worked for Kensington Publishing. He now works elsewhere. He doesn't work for Kensington anymore, but my first book came out and I got a poor review on it. One of the reviews really bothered me, and I called him, and he had to really talk me down. And he said, the greatest thing about being a writer is that you get to put your work out there for the whole world to see. And the worst thing about being a writer is putting your work out there for the whole world to see. And it's true. Like, I feel, and I know a lot of other writers who feel like this is the best job in the world. But it comes with some down periods and bad reviews. Everybody gets them. And so it's really good to remember that, I think.
Yeah, you're only human. Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so what is your favorite novel?
My favorite novel depends on my mood. But I would say, right now, my favorite novel is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Excellent.
I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's just so witty, and I think it's got some laugh out loud stuff that you don't expect from that period of writing in from the English writers, and it's just amazing. And this whole industry has been built up around Jane Austen. There's just so much that's out there that you can learn about Jane Austen and her writing. Sometimes my favorite novel is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. Sometimes it's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It just depends. It depends on my mood. It depends on when you ask.
Good. Okay. And final question. Where can readers find out more about you and your books?
Readers can find out about me and my books on my website, which is amymreade.com. It's A-M-Y, M as in Mary, R-E-A-D-E.com. My books, the books are listed, and if you click on each one, it will take you to an online retailer or an independent bookstore near you where you can purchase those books. And you can also find all my other social media links on my website.
Oh, very nice. And I think that's it for today then.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
having me.
Amy.
I appreciate it.
We really appreciate it too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you want even more fantastic content, check out our Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at CMClibrary.